Hey guys, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the first book haul of 2024. So all of these books are from Christmas, things that I've bought. The post-Christmas sale at Barnes & Noble. I went shopping this weekend and did my first book shopping of the year. I have some pre-orders. I have so much stuff over here. So I figured we would just sit down together and go through everything. A lot of these books, if you watched my Christmas vlog, you will have seen them in that video, but I asked you guys and you all said that you wanted a separate book haul video, so we're just going to do everything all together. So without further ado, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face. Check out all my socials down below, including my Goodreads and my Amazon book wish list, and let's get into the very first book haul of 2024. So I think I'm going to go through the stacks first. I have two very tall stacks sitting next to me that we're gonna go through first, and then I have a couple of bags worth of things. So let's just hop right in. There's a lot of books to get through. So starting off so strong, I have the entire Hunger Games. It used to be trilogy, but now it's not anymore. So I got all of these for my brother for Christmas. So we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, we have Mockingjay, Catching Fire, and the OG Hunger Games. I'm genuinely so excited to get into these. I think that they are going to be literally so freaking good. I love these movies, and so I can only imagine how good the Hunger Games books are going to be, and I'm very excited to read about Peeta because I am Team Peeta for literally life. Like, you cannot change my mind. So I'm so excited to get into this little series. Next, I have The Princess Trials from Cordelia K. Castle. This, I honestly don't really remember what it's about. I do know that it is a fantasy. So let's just read the synopsis quick. 30 young women, a handsome prince, a battle to the death. Water is scarce, deserts have taken over the land, nuclear war has devastated humanity. Humans live in walled super cities to keep out the irradiated. The land that was formerly known as America is divided into kingdoms ruled by royal elites. Born into the lowest echelon of the kingdom of Fandorlia, 16-year-old Zia Calico faces a life of hunger, thirst, and toil. The only way out of this drudgery is revolution, and Zia is desperate to help the cause. When the palace calls for candidates to compete to marry Prince Kevin, Zia joins the Princess Trials to search the palace for weaknesses. The trials should be a fairy tale of sumptuous meals, ball gowns, and romance, but one misplaced word causes Zia to attract the prince's attention. When Zia uncovers the man beneath Prince Kevin's public facade, she is at risk of falling in love and losing sight of her mission. But the televised beauty pageant turns deadly, and Zia must fight for survival. That sounds literally so good. I literally picked this out, and you would think I would. I am just struggling today. It's just like going great. Anyways, this sounds really good, and I'm excited to get into it. It says that it's good for fans of Hunger Games and The Selection. I've never read either, but obviously, like I stated, I've watched all of the Hunger Games movies and I love them. But this sounds really good, and I'm very excited. I also am obsessed with this cover, but I've heard like nobody else talk about this, which is why I get so excited when I find books that nobody else has ever talked about before. We have Rum Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. This is the same author as the Red Queen series. I have heard some very mixed things about the Red Queen series, but this just sounds good. The synopsis says, a squire forced to choose between home and honor, an immortal avenging a broken promise, an assassin exiled and bloodthirsty, and a pirate's daughter, the ward's last hope. The heroes may be gone, but the fight for the world has just begun. I don't really know what that's supposed to be or mean, but I'm very excited. Also, I love that there's a little bit of art in here. We love that. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be good. It is a YA fantasy, and I am in my fantasy era, so we have a lot of fantasy to talk about in this video. Then I have A Prince So Cruel by Ingrid Samer. I don't remember who I saw talk about this. This is a super short book. It's literally like not even 300 pages, I don't think. Yeah, not even 300 pages. But this series is on KU. I believe it is a trilogy, and I'm obsessed with the cover. But this one says, he needs my help, but he'll be my downfall. A prince by morning, a creston by noon, a beast by nightfall. There's a curse on his blood, an alignment that, if revealed, could destroy his kingdom. The only one who can help him is me, a human with average healing abilities. It's what the envoy told him, and her word is law. I'm his only hope. He sends his blue-blooded friends to kidnap me so I can join their quest to Mount Ruin, the only place where I can heal him. The path is dangerous and I don't know the entire truth. The prince is hiding something from me. To make matters worse, he isn't always proper. A fae prince isn't supposed to lust for a human, especially when she's his prisoner. And a human girl isn't supposed to burn for someone so out of her league. The quest might kill me, but it's my heart I'm worried about. Tell me that doesn't sound literally amazing. This next one is a bit controversial, and that is Never by Jessa Hastings. I have heard very many mixed things about this, and I am not going to be giving any of my opinions on the matter just because I don't want to get into the politics of it. But the cover is stunning. I am intrigued by the story. I had it pre-ordered, so there's not like it's not like I'm going to send it back or anything because I pre-ordered this. So I got this almost 2 months ago, or maybe it was a month ago. I don't remember. But this is Jessa Hastings' version of Peter Pan. It is a Peter Pan retelling, and I think it is going to be interesting. I don't have a lot to say about it because I'm trying to stay out of the drama of it, but the cover is beautiful, and I have heard both sides of the good things, the bad things, the controversy behind this book, so I'm just gonna stay neutral and be in the middle. This next one is a very exciting one, and that is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, except mine is signed by Rebecca herself. I bought this from a independent indie store that Rebecca was doing signed copies of with, and I was able to snag one, and I'm so happy to have this. I have very briefly started this book. I'm only like 30 pages in or something like that. I'm definitely very anxious and wary about this book. I don't know why, but I'm afraid that I'm not going to like it because I loved the first one so much. So I feel like I'm kind of a little iffy about this book. I'm a little nervous, but we do have her, and I am excited to see where Iris and Roman's story does decide to end off, because this is the second in a duology. The first one is Divine Rivals, and that book is amazing. I highly recommend. Next, I have A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a Flesh and Fire novel. Her series are very, very confusing to try and keep track of what books are in like which series, because some of her names like cross over and it just like doesn't make sense. But this is beautiful. I have heard some better things about this series compared to her Of Blood and Ash series. Of Blood and Ash series has a lot of controversy around it, a lot of mixed feelings. I think a lot of people enjoyed the first two, and then after that it wasn't good anymore, but I've heard a lot better things about this series from her, so I figured I would give it a try. Like I said, I'm obsessed with the cover. I think it'll be interesting. We'll just see how I feel. This next one is Silver in the Bone. This is by Alexandra Bracken. So I had never heard of this book, let alone the author, but when I was book shopping for the hardcover sale, I found it because I thought this cover was just beautiful, and I was like, that looks good. So I read the back, or like the synopsis, and I was like, that sounds interesting. So I picked it up. So the back of the book says, there are 3 magics to be feared: curses born to the wrath of gods, poisons that turn soil to ash, and that which leaves one dark of heart and silver in the bone. So I believe this is a series. I think it's going to be really, really good. I am very intrigued by this book. I keep seeing it everywhere now that I have it, so I'm really, really excited to get into this one. I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. Now I have The Last Storm by J.D. Linton. I had seen this author, I think, on my TikTok. I don't know if it was like this book specifically, but this author I'd seen on there, and it sounds good. There is at least a second one to this, as far as I'm aware, but I love the cover. This one says, Araya Starin's entire life has been a lie. Hidden in the shadow of her controlling father, General Evander of Oriana, Era has never tasted true freedom. For most of her life, she's been locked away in his estate as he is determined to protect her from the bloodthirsty Fae across the border. But as her 26th birthday comes and goes, he decides it's time for her to marry, against her wishes and completely unbeknownst to her. Era's fate is sealed the moment he announces her engagement. Rogue Daiquiri's entire life has been a painful truth. Raised at the hands of his father, the merciless king of Reverin, Rogue has never tasted an ounce of kindness. Now that his father is dead, the crown has been thrust upon him, and it's his responsibility to save his people from the wrath of Oriana. It is for that reason he crosses the border into Renea to spy on the court of the capital for secrets, leverage, anything. Rogue's fate is sealed the moment he lays eyes on Era Starren. I know I mispronounced all of those names, but I am excited. It sounds good. I think it's going to be interesting. I believe it is an adult fantasy, but don't quote me on that. I have A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. This is The Kingdom of Lies. This is the first book. This is also a trilogy as far as I am aware. This is also on KU because some of these books I've like seen where all I can read them because I've been in my Kindle girl era. But this one says, for years when I fell asleep, I dreamed of a man with blazing green eyes and a cruel smile. The day I met him, the ruthless mercenary leaves me for dead. Just hours after humans are born, the gods take what little power we have. In return, they protect our borders from the vicious, merciless Fae. The humans who manage to keep their power are known as the corrupt, and they are burned. When my forbidden power is discovered, I'm forced to flee my tiny village and the life I adore. To survive, I make a desperate bargain with the mercenary who abandoned me at my weakest. Our deal is simple. I'll help him and his mysterious friends sneak into the city, and help me learn to wield the strange dark power I've always kept hidden. The power that may just be the key to my survival. But the ruthless mercenary is hiding secrets of his own. Secrets that threaten the safety of everyone I love. Secrets that could tear this kingdom and perhaps even this world apart. Sounds good to me. Once again, very excited. I have The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten. I'm actually so intrigued by this author. It's not even funny. And these end papers are absolutely everything. So I've seen this book a few different places and I am literally so beyond excited about it. There are so many good authors who have written a recommendation for this book. So this one says, in this gilded, gothic, and romantic new epic fantasy series from New York Times bestselling author Hannah Witten, a young woman's secret power to raise the dead plunges her into the dangerous world of the sated king's royal court. His eyes were on her. She wasn't sure how she could tell across so much space, but she knew with a pull in her gut and no hint of a doubt that the Sun Prince was staring right at her. I don't want to read the whole synopsis, but it sounds really, really good. I'm really excited. I think this might be an adult fantasy romance, but I am not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. I have a really hard time trying to keep track of which books are YA and which books are adult, but it sounds good. I am intrigued. I love this cover. I am a little disappointed that I didn't get this in paperback and that I bought it in the hardback version, but I bought this during the like Black Friday sale thing. Also, my pages, I don't know, you probably can't tell, maybe you can, but they're like, they look really weird and I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not, but it's kind of low-key bothering me. Next we have Night Shift by Annie Crown. This is a college sports romance. This one says, when a college bookworm and the campus basketball star share a sexy encounter in the library stacks, things get complicated. Kendall Holliday doesn't like parties, so she spends her Fridays at the campus library working the night shift. And to help her survive the long hours, there's nothing better than disappearing into a steamy romance novel. After all, usually not much happens until Vincent Knight walks in. Vincent, the school's star basketball captain, is desperate for help in finding a poetry book. But when his meet cute with Kendall turns into a steamy makeout session, neither are quite prepared for what comes next. Opposites might attract in rom-coms, but it takes a lot more truth than tropes to make it work in real life. I'm intrigued. Steamy, bookworm, college romance, basketball, sports. Yes, give it to me. Next, I have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. My best friend Callie got this for me for Christmas. I am very excited about this one. This is a very well-known book, and I believe there might be one or two more books in the series now, but it's super well-known. I honestly don't know anything about it, so let's read the synopsis together. Each decade, only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to earn a place in the Alexandrian Society, the foremost secret society in the world. The chosen will secure a life of power and prestige beyond their wildest dreams. But at what cost? Each of the 6 newest recruits has their reasons for accepting the society's elusive invitation, even if it means growing closer than they could have imagined to their most dangerous enemies, or risking unforgivable betrayal from their most trusted allies. They will fight tooth and nail for the right to join the ranks of Alexandrians, even if it means they won't all survive the year. There is also a quote from Holly Black and Chloe Gong on the back, so I'm excited. I've heard the most amazing things. I feel like most people enjoy this book, not all, but a lot, so I'm very intrigued. I feel like it's like a very OG TikTok book, and I just haven't read it yet. Another one I grabbed during the Barnes & Noble hardcover sale was To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn. I love this cover, and there's purple sprayed edges. So this one says, Jude Maddox knows nothing of love or even light. He knows only his grim duty as the hand of death, to lead the Knights of the Eternal Star into a land filled with nightmares and certain demise. It's only when he sees her, a young woman with wild amber eyes who's as fierce, defiant, and swift as the shadow beasts themselves, that he feels the warmth of life in his blood. The other knights may fear their lethal commander with his hard, merciless demeanor. Outcast Kira Frey sees only a leader, a man who knows how to survive, someone like her, but wanting him is as treacherous as the shadows themselves and just as seductive. With the kingdom on the verge of collapse, the knights must now venture into the darkest heart of the land and uncover the secrets of the misted shadows, where evil will prey upon their minds and feast on their flesh. It will betray their senses, it will surpass their nightmares, most of them will die, but they have no other choice, because the only way to fight the darkness is to become it. Very enticing, if I say so myself. This next one is a pre-order, and that is Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is just the new Bloomsbury editions with the like gradient ombre sprayed edges, or not sprayed edges but spine. So obviously I already have this book. I've already read this book. It is one of my top favorite series of all time, but when a new version of it came out, I of course had to get my little claws on it, so I'm excited to have another copy. Also, I'm very confused how this book is such, oh maybe it's not, how is this? This does not look like 650 pages. Let me know how. Then I made a Waterstones order, and so we are going to go through the few books I picked up from Waterstones. First we have Brandon Sanderson's Rum Breaker. This is my first Brando Sando book I have. I just prefer the UK covers, which is why I picked this up from Waterstones instead of just getting it somewhere in the US. But I heard good things about this from Rachel Catherine, and so I decided to give it a go. I am excited to dip into him. I've heard that he's like one of the best fantasy authors of all time. I do believe that this is a YA book. This is one of his like standalone fantasies, and then I've also heard that if you want to get into his writing, that reading the Mistborn trilogy is a really good start too. So I have this one for now. I might end up getting Mistborn at some point, but I'm very, very excited to dip into this author. Then I bought this special edition of Happy Place by Emily Henry. This one has the beautiful sprayed edges, and when I got this in the mail, I almost cried. It is a signed edition by Emily Henry herself. I literally freaked out when I found this online. I am so beyond excited to have this edition. It's literally such a special place in my heart. I love this book so much. It is like a ride or die read for me, so I'm very, very happy to have this. Lastly, from Waterstones, I picked up the OG Magnolia Parks covers. I have this one right back there in the indie version, if you cannot tell, but they no longer sell these in the US, so I had to pick them up from Waterstones. So I got Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates, Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home, and then also Daisy Hates The Great Undoing. I did also pre-order the new version or the new release of this book from the OG covers. I know a lot of people don't like the new cover. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think once I reread the first book and really deep dive into the series, I will end up understanding and loving it. So I'm so happy to have these books. Okay, we are now going to get into the bags of books I have here. So I went to Books A Million for the very first time, and then also Barnes & Noble. So from Books A Million, I picked up Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I originally wasn't going to read this series because I did read the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, loved it, but a lot of people said that this isn't nearly as good. But then Sarah Caroli has read this recently and she's enjoyed it. I think she's given it like 4 stars maybe or something like that. So I decided to just grab the first one. If I'm missing Stephanie Garber's writing, I have an easy, quick little escape. This series is a little confusing to me. I don't fully understand what it's about, but I've heard really good things. It says a legendary competition, a mesmerizing romance, an unbreakable bond between 2 sisters. Welcome to Caraval. Beware of getting swept too far away. So I'm really excited about this one. Then I went ham at Barnes & Noble and I have 2 bags. I did go to 3 separate Barnes & Nobles, so it's not like I bought all of these in one get-go, but I did buy them all within 24 hours of each other. So first we have Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. This is the second book in the Renegades trilogy. I most of the time like to have the first and second book in a series because if I finish the first one and I absolutely loved it, then I can move right into the second one. I got Renegades from my mom for my birthday, and so I decided to grab Arch Enemies. I am very excited about this trilogy. It is basically like Marvel but in a fantasy YA form, and I'm literally so beyond excited to get into these. Then I grabbed one that is so hyped up on Book Talk right now, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I read the Mindfuck series and I absolutely loved it. Oh my god, this is gonna be a trilogy. How did I not know that? But this is basically 2 serial killers fall in love. So it says every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Salone and Rowan, they find something exclusive. The friendship of 2 like-minded, pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the 2 hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Salone dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? I'm literally so excited. I am not a dark romance girly. I am more of a ooey gooey girly. But after reading the Mindfuck series and absolutely devouring it, I figured this was like my perfect cup of tea. So I'm very excited to read this book. Then I grabbed The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. This is just one that I saw the cover and I was intrigued, and I read the back and I thought it sounded really good. I've actually had this book on my radar for a few weeks now. This one is a YA romance, so I'm sure it will be good. It says Hemlock Falls isn't like other towns. You won't find it on a map. Your phone won't work here, and the forest outside town might just kill you. I don't feel like reading the whole synopsis, but I'm very intrigued by this book. Getting into our other Barnes bag. This one I'm literally so beyond terrified to even own. Like, I've been putting off even putting it on my shelves because I'm just scared of it. But that is A Little Life. But this is a very... His face literally says it all. I'm so petrified of this book, it's not even funny. This book says, a little life follows 4 college classmates broke adrift and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma. A hymn to brotherly bonds and a masterful deception of love in the 21st century, this stunning novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. This is supposed to be one of the like saddest fiction books of all freaking time. It has won so many awards, it's not even funny. Everyone who reads this, not everyone, but most of the people who read this absolutely love it and say it's a must read if you can handle it. You have to check the trigger warnings on this book. I believe there's literally like every trigger warning ever is in this book practically. So I now own it. Callie basically convinced me to pick it up. So this one I'm absolutely petrified by, and I will not be reading for a very long time, but the spine is beautiful. It's a beautiful book. Okay, these next three are ones I have absolutely never heard anybody talk about, but I saw them, read the back, and I bought them. So this first one is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. This is the System Divine series. I don't remember what this is about, but I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I like the cover. It is, once again, a fantasy romance. I believe it's adult fantasy, if I'm not mistaken, but I have her. Then I have Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have heard absolutely nothing about this trilogy by her. I think this is YA actually, so I'm intrigued to finally read something Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have a few of her books now, and so I'm finally going to tiptoe my way in and just kind of see what we have going on here. So I'm excited about that one. And then last but not least, I have Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. I'm very excited about this one. First of all, I'm obsessed with this cover. I don't know what it is, but it just gives me like older adult book vibes. Like, I'm just so intrigued by this. But it says, not even the ties of blood will keep them from splitting the world in two. Surrounded by the relics of a dead empire, two siblings, one who wields magic for the empire and the other who has vowed to bring it all down, will battle for the fate of their world in the first book of this epic new fantasy trilogy by best-selling author Django Wexler. So, very, very excited about this. I think this might be one of the only books I own by a male author. I tend to, not even on purpose, but just read mostly female authors just because they typically do fantasy romance really well, and I need some romance sprinkled into most of my fantasy. But I finally have decided to grab a few books by male authors just because I'm trying to branch out and the synopses sound really nice on their books. So I have some of those. But with all of that being said, those are all of the books I have bought for going into 2024 and or books that were gifted to me. So if any of you gifted me a book, thank you. I appreciate you so much. But I'm very excited. I actually am about to redo my bookshelves because I need somewhere to put these books. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face. Check out all my socials down below, including my Goodreads and my Amazon book wish list. And yeah, that's all. I love you all to the moon and to Saturn, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!